So, after a Christmas special followed by 8 episodes, the latest series of Doctor Who has come to a close, and boy, what a ride. Now, I certainly have a lot to say, I'm sure you do too. So I'm Harry, this is the Review Lab, let's get into it. So after the 60th anniversary specials featuring the return of the Doctor and Donna, we finally got a Christmas special followed by a full series with the brand new 15th Doctor, Ncuti Gatwa. This also introduced his new companion Ruby Sunday as played by Millie Gibson. Their first full episode together was the 2023 Christmas special, The Church on Ruby Road, followed by the following 8 episodes. Episode 1, Space Babies. Episode 2, The Devil's Chord. Episode 3, Boom. Episode 4, 73 Yards. Episode 5, Dot and Bubble. Episode 6, Rogue. Episode 7, The Legend of Ruby Sunday. And Episode 8, Empire of Death. Now, before we get into this review, I want to say that I am going to try and be as spoiler-free as I can. However, if you haven't seen any of the series yet, I would say go and watch that first before watching this video. You have been warned. Now, my first thoughts on this new series is, I had a great time. Now, I will say, I don't think it was the strongest series or my favourite. However, I do think that it was full of fantastic performances, great stories and visuals, and overall, just a really fun time. But we're going to get into all this. I want to talk about Ncuti Gatwa. Now, as soon as we saw the 15th Doctor and the giggle, we knew instantly we were in for a treat. And boy, was we right. Over the course of the 8 episodes, 9 if you include the Christmas special, we have seen a Doctor that is full of joy and wonder, and yet also much more emotional and much more vulnerable. This season saw the Doctor tackle issues and threats unlike those we have seen before, and we have seen him suffer and feel the consequences of it. We've seen him at his lowest and most exposed, and I have loved that. He's still the hero that we have come to love over the course of 61 years, but it shows that even if you are the hero, it is okay to be vulnerable, and I think that's really important to see in mainstream media. Now, there is an argument that in this series that the more the Doctor shows this, the more it takes away from the impact, and I do understand that to an extent. But I do think that in this series it really works. Ncuti commands the screen with such raw emotion and talent, and we are so lucky to have him as the Doctor. And like I said, he is also full of joy and wonder too. So many times in this series, we see the Doctor have fun and adore his adventures. We see the cheekiness to him and the fun side of him. Take Rogue as an example. When we see him taunt Rogue using his sound system, Ncuti plays this all with such ease. He's truly made for this role. He takes elements of those previous to him and yet makes it his own. And again, we are so lucky to have him. I can't wait to see where he takes his character next. Now, we also have to mention his costumes. I won't lie. It did throw me off when it was first realised he wouldn't have one signature costume and would then wear a variety throughout the series, but now having watched it, it's grown on me massively. He's so stylish, and it also adds to his character in those episodes. I do think it allows cosplayers as well to have a good variety to choose from, which is great, but for those of us who hope he gets his signature look, I would say it's between these two, at least personally. One due to it being the first costume that was announced, and the other one due to him wearing it a couple of times, especially with that long overcoat in, say, the Christmas special, Space Babies, and at the end of Empire of Death. Now, as mentioned, joining the Doctor this series is his new companion, Ruby Sunday, as played by Millie Gibson. We first meet Ruby in the Christmas special and discover that she is a foundling left on the doorstep of a church on Ruby Road. This plays into the overall mysteries of the entire series, being who is Ruby's mother and who left her on the doorstep. These questions reoccur throughout her adventures with the Doctor, to the point of whenever it is mentioned or highlighted in detail, it starts snowing, just like that night. Millie is fantastic as Ruby in the role. At first, it took me a while to settle into this character, but then by the end of the series, I thought she was great. We see her play this role with such joy and wonder at these new marvellous things that she sees around her and encounters in each episode, and it is fantastic to watch play on screen. As we go through the series, we see the Doctor and Ruby's friendship develop. It is due to the fantastic chemistry between the two leads. On screen, we see them become best friends, and it's so great to watch this play out over the episodes, and the dynamic certainly is one of the biggest strengths of the series. One thing I will say about it though is that as much as we see this friendship go from strength to strength, we never really see it challenged. Now, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but there is a few moments, especially in episode 7, The Legend of Ruby Sunday, regarding Ruby's mother and the Doctor simply walking away. You would want Ruby to turn and question the Doctor and his reasoning in that moment, but she doesn't. And I hope more moments like that in the next series do come up, because it would be interesting to see this part of their dynamic. As well as the mystery of Ruby's parentage, the series also posed a lot more questions and mysteries. Introducing the elements of the supernatural and delving into fantasy, showrunner Russell T Davies introduced a more godlike pantheon of villains, such as the Toymaker in the 60th anniversary special The Giggle, or Maestro in The Devil's Chord. This also helped play into the overall mystery of the one who waits, and we also got the mystery of the new character of Mrs. Flood and her identity. Russell very carefully weaves these threads throughout the series, with a lot coming to a climax by the finale, but it also leaves enough questions for the next series. Now, as much as this can be a strength of the series, it can also work to its own detriment. Having all these mysteries build week to week can lead to some viewers feeling maybe dissatisfied by the answers they get. Now, yes, this can also be down to the viewer putting too much expectation on these questions, but the fact that each question or each mystery is very heavily played upon in the episodes do contribute to it as well. A way around this, maybe, I feel, would be to have longer episodes, or even a longer episode count. Having the series be only 8 45-minute episodes can mean there is a lot to cram in week to week. This could either lead to too much exposition in one episode or too many high expectations overall. Having a longer episode count or longer episodes themselves allow these stories and mysteries to play out and build much more naturally. It also means we get more of this fantastic duo. Now, of course, I do realise making a TV show is difficult. This is just one way I feel could maybe help. Now, apart from this, one thing I did love about the series was the use of each episode having a more experimental feel of storytelling. Now, this may not have been week to week, and it may not have always worked for people, but having episodes like 73 Yards and Dot and Bubble allowed the show to be less villain of the week and experiment with topics such as racism and elements of Welsh folklore horror. And it was great to see the show dive into these elements and to see how the Doctor would tackle them. This, alongside episodes such as The Devil's Chord, dealing with this godlike music threat in Maestro, played by Jinx Monsoon, who was also fantastic, and episodes like Rogue, that was styled to be more Bridgerton-esque. Because of this, it meant each week we got something varied and different, allowing the show to feel more fresh and new and tackle more challenging areas that they may not have done before. And I think that is really important after 60 years of the show being around. Now, this series, whilst Russell T Davies wrote 6 of the 8 episodes, we also got guest writers for episode 3 and 6. In episode 6, we got the guest writers of Kate Herron and Bryony Redman. They wrote the episode Rogue, and episode 3 saw the return of former showrunner Stephen Moffat for the episode Boom. Now, this allowed us to see different perspectives of our duo, putting them in more unique situations. For example, in Boom, the Doctor steps on a landmine and is unable to move for the entire episode. Now, whilst I love Russell T Davies' stories, it is always a joy to see new perspectives and new writers, and I hope we get more of this next series. I will say also it was great to have Stephen Moffat back as well. I do love his episodes. Now, overall, this brand new series of Doctor Who, whether you want to call it Series 1 or Series 14, was a fun-filled, thrill-ride adventure that showcased a brand new Time Lord and his new best friend in Ncuti and Millie. Whilst at points plots maybe could have been a bit predictable, and I wish that the episodes themselves were either a little longer or maybe more of them, I still had a great time. Again, that is thanks to the wonderful dynamic of Ncuti and Millie and the stories varying week to week. We got to see a version of the Time Lord who was much more open and vulnerable than we might be used to, and I loved that. Having Ncuti as the Time Lord is proving to be the perfect choice, and also Millie as Ruby Sunday, and I cannot wait to see what comes next series. Now, what did you think of this series of Doctor Who? I would love to hear your thoughts. Please let us know in the comments below. I just want to take a quick moment to say thank you so much for all your support. We have been gone for a while, but we have got videos coming up and they will be out very, very soon. Keep an eye out on all our socials. Don't forget to click subscribe. We'll see you real soon.